Today, you're going to learn about Microsoft Whiteboard's functionality, its potential applications, and the benefits that it can provide for you and your students. Before we get started, I want to talk to you about today's presenters. My colleague, Jorge Azucar, and I are the instructional technologists for the Worldwide Campus. We are joined by our Daytona counterpart, Tracy Perotti. We have Sarah Nordine from Instructional Design and Development. Misha Molitor is not able to be with us today, but she has been here with us up until then, contributing. And we have Cody Sire from Academic Innovation Research. As far as today's session objectives, we want to review Microsoft Whiteboard's features. We want to discuss how students can benefit from using this tool and how Microsoft Whiteboard can be used by all instructors for teaching and learning. Before we dive into the informational portion, we do have a short clip to give you an overview of what Microsoft Whiteboard has to offer. We love tech here. So today we do have Tracy Perotti with us. I'm not sure if she's able to join the call to give us a demonstration, but if she's not able to do that, I think we can do a verbal overview of it and maybe save it for the end if she's late joining us. Jorge, I know it's on the fly, would you maybe be able to just give us a verbal overview of how 3 different ways that we might be able to access it? I understand you probably wouldn't be able to share your screen, but we are accommodating for some people that might not be able to come in and join the call right now. What are your thoughts on that, Jorge? Jorge, you might have an audio problem. Can you start that from the top, please?
Sure, I apologize. Let me see if I can move over here. Well, in a nutshell, I am going to share my screen. Okay, give me 1 minute. I need to. Apologies. There we go. Here, let me share my screen.
Jorge, this is why we love you. You can absolutely take any challenge on and reach it.
No problem. Here we go. We apologize for that delay. What's going to occur is the easiest way to access what we're doing is Microsoft Whiteboard. The main reason why we chose Microsoft Whiteboard is because it's part of our ecosystem. Are you able to view my screen?
We see it, Jorge. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go to the app launcher. The app launcher is the official name for it, but we like to call it the waffle. That sounds just so much more fun. We are going to have a list of all of our applications. Again, we chose this for the ecosystem that everything is in Ernie. If you do not find it in Whiteboard, you can also click on Explore All Apps, and within there is where we're going to locate it and find it. Once we click on Whiteboard, it is going to load. This gives us an entire library of all the whiteboards that we are part of, whether it's going to be through Teams, because you can access it through Teams and collaborate through Teams, or you can create a brand new one. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to create a brand new whiteboard. It gives us a very long list of different templates that we can choose to um, basically use as a springboard. You don't necessarily have to use these. You can just use it as giving you an idea of what is going to give you a nice foundation. We're going to click on, as an example, brainstorming. You can set to preview. You can use template. It's going to ask you now, where in the whiteboard, because the whiteboard is pretty expansive, so you can choose where to place it. Once you have placed it, you have the different opportunities of adding more to the board itself. You can use the little scroll bar or the bottom. You can see where you can, right now it's 35%, you can scroll out. You can also use the scroll on your mouse to scroll in and out. The menu bar at the bottom gives you the different opportunities to do the select, text, shape, and also incorporate. We're going to discuss this a little bit later on how you can just add even more templates, images, and documentation. That is pretty much the essence on how to access Whiteboard. And again, we chose this because of the ecosystem that it is so accessible. You can also choose to share this whiteboard. You can invite people from your organization or directly people from specific people you can choose from. So we would recommend, if you're going to be collaborating with a handful of people, just click on people from Embry-Riddle University, and then you have the decision whether do you want them to view it or would you like for them to be able to collaborate with it. They can edit, and we're going to click on apply. Once you do that, you can click on copy links, and you can put that in basically email, a notification, Canvas notification. Pretty much it is a link that you're giving permissions for people to collaborate with this whiteboard. Those are pretty much the easiest ways to access the whiteboard in our Microsoft ecosystem.
That's fabulous, Jorge. Thank you. So Jorge just took us through some options for how we can access Whiteboard and some of the features that make it such an easy application to be able to integrate into your courses. Sarah Nordine from Instructional Design is now going to tell us about an example of how this is currently being used in courses. And Dr. Vignes has already beat her to the punch by giving it a shout out. Sarah?
Thank you, Selena. Before we jump in into the current use of Microsoft Whiteboard being used in the course, I did want to give Dr. Rachel Vignes credit for letting us showcase Marketing 449. She was the developer and the instructor for the examples that we're about to share. So let's go ahead and jump into what Microsoft Whiteboard looks like in a course. First, we always want to ensure that our instructors feel supported throughout the whole course process. We added into the information for instructors section not only how to create groups for collaboration, which is important when using Microsoft Whiteboard, but it also has information on where in the course students will be interacting with Microsoft Whiteboard within their groups. So what kind of support do we give our students when using Microsoft Whiteboard? We provide our students with a guide with step-by-step instructions and resources on how to use Microsoft Whiteboard from the very beginning to the very end. We also encourage students to search and explore templates for how they best learn. However, as an instructor, you can provide example templates that would best fit the needs of the assignment. So let's look at what an assignment looks like within Microsoft Whiteboard. In this example, students are asked to read a case study. and then collect and collaborate with their groups in Microsoft Whiteboard to answer different questions pertaining to their case study. So now let's look at what Microsoft examples would be within Whiteboard. In this first example, it showcases Group 2's whiteboard for Module 1's case study that they collaborated in. In this next example, we will look at Group 4's whiteboard to the same case study questions that were in Module 1. However, notice they are different from the first group, but still have the same questions answered. In this final example, we're going to look at Group 4's whiteboard from Module 6 case study. Notice that some of the examples showcased included instructor feedback within Canvas. However, you can request students to share their whiteboards with you during their brainstorming so you can provide feedback directly on the whiteboard before students are able to submit their assignments. Now let me go ahead and hand the mic back over to Selena.
Thanks, Sarah. Just a quick question. From a design perspective, how difficult is it to incorporate Microsoft Whiteboard into a course?
That's actually a great question, Selena. It's very easy to integrate Microsoft Whiteboard because your instructional designer can provide you with student and instructor guides and resources. Developers and instructors only need to provide the prompts or the templates.
Great. We love it when it's easy to add some tech into a course. Thanks, Sarah. So now to help us see about the student experience and discuss Whiteboard from that perspective, we have Cody Sire. Thanks, Cody.
Thanks, Selena and Sarah. Hi, everybody. My name is Cody Sire, and I work in the Academic Innovation and Research Research Department. I'm focusing on the user experience for the key stakeholders at Embry-Riddle. And so primarily this means that I intersect with the student learner experience, but this does overlap often with faculty as well as occasionally staff and administrative roles at Embry-Riddle. So student experience. The first component to this is understanding and learning the needs and desires of today's learner. And also it's looking at the trends of learning in the future. And that's really important because technology does play such a critical role in the learner experience in today's generation. And so when it comes to technology in the classroom, first and foremost with student experience, we want to know, what are the students saying? So what are they saying? Students are saying that they are seeking interactive tools and experiences that really help connect them to the classroom learning environment, but they just don't want more technology. They want technology that's quick. They want technology that's accurate. They don't want extra steps. And so they want technology that doesn't require extra logins, that doesn't require extra navigations, no accounts to set up, getting those external links where you keep going on. That's not what students are looking for. They're looking for something that's quick and ready and available just at a click of a button, as we saw Microsoft Whiteboard is. Students crave connection to the online classroom and really seek out the human side of technology. And this is really important when we look at Embry-Riddle worldwide being in online learning, that the technology should be reliable and it should be easily accessible wherever students are logging in from. And they want to see that human behind the screen. They don't always want that automation or that auto response or that feeling that something's canned and templated. They really want something that has that personal connection and it makes it feel like there's a human behind it, whether that's peer interaction, instructor interaction, or just the operations that the technology provides. Students are looking for collaborative tools and technology integrations that enhance their experience and that have purpose. And so that intention of being connected to the peers, being connected to their faculty, having that increased engagement, that's really the outcome. They don't want it just because it's 2023. They want it because it really adds value and it has purpose, whether that's an active homework assignment or it's active discussion. It should have purpose in their daily academic experience. Specifically, when we look at digital whiteboards, this technology is valuable to students by allowing that think out loud option and the virtual opportunity to work through scenarios. So whether students are in a group project and they're trying to interact with multiple time zones or kind of show participation from everyone in the group, it gives them that opportunity. In independent projects, it gives them the opportunity to map out their research to approach and shows that level of learning along the way. And then for the faculty member, when we look at their experience, a lot of these are mirrored. A lot of the expectations about what faculty are saying are mirrored. And this is a great way for faculty members to not only show their expertise, experience and knowledge in the classroom, but really they have the opportunity to enhance all the other engagement that occurs through the feedback in the gradebook, through participation discussion board, and it really complements and enhances that overall connection to the learners. Students are also looking for learning approaches that meet them where they're at and gives an opportunity to all learning styles. And that's an area where these digital whiteboards, such as Microsoft Whiteboard, really excel by creating that landing page or that reference point and having not only something that they can refer back to, but having something that helps act as a guide and a tool in their toolkit along the way. So now that we've heard a little bit about what students are saying and what advantages it has, I'd really like you to kind of think about the value that it can add to the student experience for you in the classroom, but also what the value can bring from the teaching and learning perspective. And to kind of engage in this, we wanted to have a little fun today. If you've ever been around sports or athletics, you've probably heard about the RICE approach, which is rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And so to have a little fun, we wanted to apply the RICE approach to our Innovation Launchpad today. So there's no RICE, there's real-time learning. The great part about the Microsoft Whiteboard is it has synchronous and asynchronous participation benefits. And really, again, that collaboration among peers, that engagement with instructors, and the supplemental feedback opportunity that exists is what gives both the student and the instructor the opportunity to enhance their experience. So for the instructors, it gives them a chance to meet the students where they're at, really get that engagement and make that learning environment. And it allows the student to have that human connection and that real classroom feel that they crave in the digital online format. Innovation and intentional technology. Again, students like things that have purpose, that have focus, that have intention, and they want that easy accessibility. So Whiteboard offers the students a modern and traditional classroom experience in an online format. Again, whether they're logged in live and this is a Zoom activity taking place during Eagle Vision or optional online office hours, or it's a group project where everyone's in different time zones spread out between the world, which is more often than not the case. And again, when students see these tools that have purpose and intent, they're really able to experience the outcome in multiple ways. And as it was demonstrated, there's so many different formats and templates that are available in the Whiteboard tool. We'll continue to talk more about that, but it makes sure that there's limited redundancy in some of this. So see the connection to content. Again, that multifunctionality tool is what draws people in and it allows it to not become stale. And so that avoids redundancy and it allows modeling of all the materials and concepts that allows students to remain connected. It avoids that burnout and it keeps them engaged throughout the week or in the purposeful way, whether it's just a portion of the discussion board, it's optional, or it's a tool that they could use on their own in the professional environment. And then enhancing the educational experience through interaction, whether it's directly with peers or colleagues or the instructor. This is a tool and a learning experience that allows the student to have a core memory and a core experience and gives them something to remember, and it gives that tangible takeaway. So if they're currently working in industry, it's a tool that allows them to practice that in their professional capacity. It allows them to apply this tool in other classrooms to keep them organized. It gives lots of opportunities to have a accessible product at the tip of their fingers through the Ernie portal. It's also a great way to meet the needs of all subject students in colleges. So whether you have a first-time learner who's just getting started, or maybe you have a senior graduate student, there truly is something for everyone. And that's not only across all the colleges and subjects, but again, the levels of learning where the student is at. This tool specifically allows for that experience and that enhancement in the educational environment, which allows for that 360 educational experience, which is what we're wanting students to seek out during their academic journey at Embry-Riddle. So as we continue through this presentation, we just want to encourage you to think about the RICE approach and think about all these different aspects. And we look forward to continuing this discussion a little bit later in the presentation. So again, back to you.
Thanks, Cody. When I hear you talking about student engagement, I want to bring up the alligator in the room since I'm in Florida. So we talk so much about the use of AI and in classes, whether instructors want to encourage it or they're looking for ways to deter students from using it to get that more authentic response from them. So you've talked a lot about how students become more engaged with a tool like Microsoft Whiteboard. What is the value for any of our instructors maybe incorporating that into their course to give a more authentic learning experience and deter them from using generative AI?
Ooh, that's a good question, great topic, and very relevant. I think the primary benefit I see when we look at these interactive tools is there's the opportunity for a tangible product, but also to see the benchmark of learning along the way. And so whether it's being used as a student using it as a baseline submission and turning it in to get feedback and have something to come back. Moreover, you can see who is participating in a group project and doing what, how the students are coming to the conclusions they have. And there's different templates that are available. So depending on the outcome of the assignment or the learning objectives, and again, whether it's an actual assignment and just meant to be a tool, that benchmark and learning process to see the progression and see where students are struggling, see where maybe they need extra help, see where they're excelling. This tool gives that holistic view and 360 approach to the learning environment.
I love that. Thanks so much, Cody. We appreciate your time. So what I want to talk to you about now is about the accessibility of your lessons or your courses and how designing courses and resources through a universal design for learning lens can pair really well with the use of Microsoft Whiteboard. So universal design for learning can be used to create content and materials that work for all of our learners. So when we're a course developer and we're designing lessons, or when we're an individual instructor and we're thinking, what are some additional resources that I can provide for my students to help them meet their course objectives? We want to make sure that we're creating content and materials that include instructions, resources that are one of three things: absolutely essential for some students, beneficial to some students, and are not detrimental to any students. So think about it in terms of captions on videos. Some people absolutely need captions to understand the video content. Others are going to have benefits to the captions because maybe they don't hear one portion, or they want a visual reference for what they're taking in auditorily. But some people don't need captions at all. So the fact that they're there doesn't impact or negatively affect their ability to take in that video content. So what does this mean for you all as instructors and how you can use Microsoft Whiteboard? So if you need to provide multiple means of engagement for your students, as well as options for actions that they can take to understand the material and express understanding and knowledge of those course objectives, we want to see how can Whiteboard help you all allow students to have these different options. So when students are able to choose their method of processing information, they're automatically going to be more engaged. So instructors in all courses can offer students options to process materials and information. It sounds a little daunting, but Whiteboard is a wonderful tool that students can use individually by having you all provide templates either in a course design or as a supplemental resource. So for example, if you have a piece of research or you have a block of reading that you're asking your students to process, you could provide some type of graphic organizer and Whiteboard for them to optionally engage with in order to process the material. For example, you have a compare and contrast model here. There are a lot of cause and effect ones. Not everyone is going to be able to process that reading, and not all of our students know some of the options for how they can process. So sometimes it's up to us to provide some examples and teach them how they can do that. Students are able to demonstrate understanding of a module objective just by comparing or tracing a cause and effect and processing those reading or instructor notes that might be provided. Another template option that gives students an ability to process information in a way that they prefer is by using Whiteboard for an opportunity for students to use sketch notes. Sketch notes that are done in Whiteboard allow students to use pictures, images, freeform, And they're going to offer an option for students to process that reading material in a way that maybe makes more sense to them, and is going to allow them to be able to demonstrate their objectives that you're hoping to get them to meet. The last option is providing a template in Whiteboard for a mind map. So mind maps that are created in Whiteboard are going to offer students an opportunity to make those clear visual connections. So whether it's processing reading material, or some students are going to need some type of template or graphic organizer as an option to plan out a piece of writing that they're doing, or a large piece of research, or a presentation. By having this visual connection between words or ideas and questions is really going to give the students an option to be able to process that information and demonstrate an understanding of it in a way that makes sense to them. Well, I want to turn this over to my colleague Jorge, who is really good at jumping in on the fly, but there's the man. We appreciate you, Jorge.
Oh, we're here to help. After all, we're instructional technologists. That's what we do. So I would like to share with you different aspects of ways that other examples that you can use. Kind of our institution focuses on STEM. So think about in the science. One of the things that we are looking at right now is the example of how you can be specific. Because it could be asynchronous or synchronous. So think about you already stating, giving you opportunity to state your purpose. What is your purpose? What do you want your students to accomplish on this? You can have the capability of creating formulas to remind them. You can use sticky notes. You can write on sticky notes. You can use text on sticky notes. You can annotate. So this is an example of one of the processes in science. We also wanted to show you, for example, Dr. Viknes gave us a perfect example of how it's being used in her course, but it doesn't have to be in the sense that it has to be a project. Like several have mentioned, it can also be a brainstorm. I can think of the team analysis, the SWOT, the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat could be cross-curriculum. You can start analyzing all of this as a process and provide a template, but you as the instructor can give specific instruction on what you would like for them to accomplish. Another example, this one is an example that they integrated because it's part of the Microsoft ecosystem. So this one is integrated with Microsoft Teams, and they can turn in their assignments directly in Microsoft Teams. We use Canvas, but I wanted to showcase specifically how you can use the toolbars on the bottom. The toolbar on the bottom will give you different ways to annotate, and it even has a ruler for those that would like to do a little bit, for those in engineering that wants to make and build their communal home on Mars, and be able to sketch. We know that some of our students like to prefer to use computers that have touchscreen. Sometimes they prefer to work on their tablets. Some of them even prefer to work on their cell phone. I don't know how they would accomplish this, but I wouldn't be surprised. They would be up for the challenge. Aviation. Aviation. One of the things that you can do is separate the entire whiteboard to different kind of like learning stations. And give them specific instructions on what you want to explore as a free form or zoom in and out. You can, for example, here I'm highlighting on the top left corner. That is a direct link to a website that I would like for them to visit and explore a little bit further. You can have all the different examples of the technical specs. You can divide the whiteboard into the 3 different types of Dreamliners that the 787 is divided from this schematic. But you can even take it further. That's you setting it up. And like what we mentioned, everything revolves around what is our goal? What is our purpose? How can we enhance our students' learning? One of the things that we really like is, like we mentioned before, it is a board that you can add so many different aspects all in one place. Because it's part of our ecosystem on the top right-hand corner, like Microsoft likes to function, it has a little share button. Sometimes it'll say share, sometimes you just have the little icon, and it is up to the way that you would like to set it up. If you would like for them to, whether it be your students or whether it be your colleagues, for them to collaborate, or would you like for them to be used as a reference just to go and explore? So there's different ways to put Word documents, PDFs, PowerPoint slides directly into the whiteboard. It's great to use sticky notes or even annotate directly on the whiteboard so they can have and see, you as the faculty member, as the instructor, can show and demonstrate, give a visual example of how you are taking your brainstorming process. A perfect example. It's I like um this little example because usually you're going to see your whiteboard be small when you create your template or after you, and you can zoom on out. But we can emphasize that how this is a collaborative workspace. And one of the things that we love the most, if you decide to give access to your students, it is real-time collaboration. You can use little magnifier, or you can also use the little scroll wheel on your mouse, and they can zoom in and follow the instructions while they are exploring. So very similar to their competitor, we will not mention their competitor, Padlet. Their competitor, you're looking at building structure. You're looking at color coding. You're looking at different systems. You're trying to categorize, give different opportunities to help not only your students, but even also if you're deciding to collaborate with your colleagues. You can even assign tasks. You can say, for example, all the purple, and you can align all the purple and assign it to a specific person. When I say assign it, please, I don't want to mislead anyone. You can't mention someone and it'll automatically do it for you, but at least it gives you a visual way to coordinate for, and you can put your expectations on the board itself. And just like social media, just like we've seen in Yellow Dig or Perusal, many different tools that we use, that interaction of, upvoting, of liking, the different reactions, being expressive, does speak. It's a quick way of sharing your thoughts and ideas with basically with your team or with the students in the board. So there's different types of ways that you can communicate. Whiteboard gives you that opportunity. Here's a perfect example. When we are instructed to contact someone, they reach out to us and say, hey, I'm looking for this great tool. We're encouraging, this is a perfect collaboration with RCTLE. RCTLE created this beautiful whiteboard that it takes a process. What is our students' learning outcomes? What do we want to accomplish with this course? How are we going to make it effective for our students to reach those learning outcomes? So this is a perfect example that we are in development with RCTLE, and we collaborate with them. And the best part is at the end of the collaboration, everyone has a opportunity to have a copy of their own as a reference. So this is another perfect example of how we can use Whiteboard. So please understand that this is just a glimpse of what we are suggesting. This evolved into Microsoft Whiteboard because we know there are other programs out there, but like we mentioned, the ease of being part of our ecosystem. So it's something to explore, something to see how it will enhance your courses or even enhance your collaboration with your team. Selena, would you like to add anything?
You sure would. Thanks, Jorge. You did a great job talking about course-specific applications and collaboration endeavors that can be embarked upon with this. So I want to share some resources with you as we're reaching the informational end of this portion. So our first resource is a Microsoft Whiteboard cheat sheet. This is going to be a PDF that includes graphic layouts of Whiteboard with diagrams and visuals to highlight all features of the application. This would be great for student or instructor references to quick start guides. The second reference is a Microsoft support page for Whiteboard. You're going to find tons of information, including how to access and share the Whiteboard and its features. And you can explore lots of different tips and tricks for educators specifically to be able to get the most out of Whiteboard. Our newest instructional technologist, Megan, is going to drop those links in the chat for you to reference later, share with a friend. And there's a bonus third link in there that gives you access to our planning collaborative whiteboard for this Launchpad session. As always, I want to talk to you about the support here at Worldwide. Academic Innovation is always here to support you for best teaching practices and any ongoing professional development opportunities. Your RCTLE team is always ready to assist through all phases of the teaching term. For all things technical, IT support is going to respond to your tickets quickly. And when navigating academic tools within your Canvas course, the e-learning support team is always ready to collaborate and problem solve. Speaking of CoDevCon, Academic Innovation is offering opt-in course developer consultation appointments. This is going to be for any course developers if you're planning a development, redevelopment, or enhancement update. It's there to provide support for any teaching strategies or academic technologies that you might be interested in. You can expect to meet with members of our CTLE and the academic technology team to create a plan to implement new ideas before your course design kickoff. Megan's also going to drop the link in the chat to access that form if you're interested in arranging one of those meetings. So as we're reaching the end, it is your turn. If you have any questions that you would like to add to the chat, or you'd like to unmute and share any questions that you have, turn on your camera. This is your time. I think within our team too, we also have some questions that we might be able to explore.
Megan, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, we do have a question about Padlet. So if the course is currently using Padlet, should they switch to the Microsoft Whiteboard when their course is redeveloped? And is Padlet still supported by Riddle for use in our courses?
Excellent question. We're going back to what is the purpose that we're trying to basically achieve. So if Padlet is actually working, but you would be interested in, I would highly recommend to fill out the CoDevCon to see if we can explore those options and how we can, you're using Padlet, how will the redevelopment switch over to Microsoft Whiteboard, and to see how, if basically what will be enhanced, what would be of course the biggest feature is that ecosystem that it's accessible very quickly, but then it's one of those to keep in mind. From my understanding, I believe the question was Padlet supported. I haven't looked that up, I apologize, but if it is part of the course, I believe
we can't keep Jeff out of these calls. I think he's got something to say.
I just want to say it's still one of our supported apps. We have a guide for it. I also want to mention that Padlet's just a little different. Padlet allows for individual contributions to a same screen, and then students can comment on each other. It's a little different than the interactive whiteboard tool. But yeah, it still works. But as Jorge was saying, if there's a reason to change, if you like the approach or the philosophy of the new tool, then definitely fill out the form. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your feedback, Jeff.
Also, when they fill out the form, will it help compare tools so the instructor knows and can determine which is best for their course?
I think that's a fabulous question. Personally, I think that's one of the things that we're aiming to do, to not really push a particular tool on anyone, to hear what it is you're looking to achieve, and then also offer some different options, saying, well, you know, we have this Padlet option, or Whiteboard might be more aligned with what your course objectives are. And that is definitely one of the goals. We can compare the two and help you, along with our CTLE and your, before you go to your designer, make the best best choice for your course. Love that. Dr. Vignes, if you're able to share anything about your experience with Sarah, developing your course with Whiteboard, and you know, implementing that, and how your students have reacted to it, we would absolutely love to be able to hear that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So in terms of working with IDD and specifically Sarah on building the new tool into the platform, again, very streamlined process. They were able to give all that support, back-end content to ensure that faculty, students, and myself as the developer kind of had all that content to, you know, to inform, because again, for many of our users, this might be the first time or one of the first times using the tool. But what I can tell you is one of the most rewarding things that I experienced with this particular build is watching students evolve with a tool. So where they might have, there was one group that literally they used, again, of all the features that Jorge mentioned, they just used it as a text only feature. And by the end of the course, they were incorporating graphics, they were incorporating notes, they were, you know, using their own naming conventions so that they could organize and color code their thoughts. And again, it was a tool that it wasn't just a one and done kind of experience. They could look at, you know, what they created in an earlier module and then again continue to build on it later in the term. So again, from a faculty perspective, the just watching that evolution of the use and adopting all the functionality of the tool, I think was such a rewarding experience from my perspective teaching the course. And again, there are so many features in there. You know, I almost left it to them to kind of explore and to see what worked best for their individual groups. I know, or I mentioned some of the different templates that are already available, you know, whether it was a SWOT analysis or things of that nature. And again, just to let students to kind of find those different features was a good learning opportunity for them, both in terms of the content of the course, but then also in terms of the tool itself. So again, thank you. And thank you to Sarah and the team here for showcasing.
I mean, a stellar, valuable feedback there. We didn't even have to ask you to do that, and we really appreciate you volunteering to do that. Thank you so much. So as we're getting to the end of our Q&A portion, if there are any other questions from the audience, from our panel, we're going to look at wrapping it up. Was there anything else in there that needed to be answered?
No, right now the chat is clear. I did have a question for Sarah just to clarify. So instructors can leave comments on the boards. So each group would invite the instructor, or how would that work for the whiteboard feedback?
Yes, so you would actually have the students share, just like Jorge was showing you how to do the share button with the link. So they would have to invite their instructor with their email if they wanted to just add the instructor themselves, or if they wanted to put in a course where they could do like a check, then they can add that link also into Canvas to send to their instructor for them to access their whiteboard.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, to honor everyone's time as we're getting to the end here, we do have a last minute question. Will the university cover the cost of Microsoft Whiteboard? Oh, we love money questions. Sarah, can you help us with that one?
Yes, it is already in the ecosystem, so there is no external cost whatsoever to you or the students. So
Awesome. Great question and even better response. So as we're reaching the end here, I just want to give you a few reminders. We do have a last session of the year coming up, November 1st. It's going to focus on Canvas Studio. So hopefully you all will be able to join us and like grab a friend on chat or physically pull them over to come to. Another reminder, we do have a recording of this presentation. It's going to be posted in the faculty resource site on the RCTLE TV page. And we just want to thank you for being here today, for participating, for being open to learning about a new tool and possibly thinking about integrating it into your course or course resources. Thank you again for your time, and we'll see you on the next session. Have a great afternoon.